Hey, deserving listeners, my name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm rewatching Season 3, Love is Blind. Knowing what we know now, let's watch.
Yeah, but it's fine.
No.
Like, it's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah. So, do you have any couples that you were like, they're not going to make it?
I know SK and Raven. Because I talked, I don't know how you talked to Raven, but I talked to SK. And it was me, SK, and Cole.
I'll still stand by what I said originally, which was that, because she's asking him, who do you think isn't going to last? And he's saying Raven and SK. And at the time I thought that's pretty arrogant because you don't know anything. And what I'll say is he knows more than I do because he's talked to them a lot more, obviously, but he still doesn't know enough. But I think given what we know now after the season, he was more right than maybe a lot of people gave him credit for.
It didn't make sense to me, so I was like, I don't know.
I was very surprised that SK made it to my top, 4.
Yeah.
And when I saw him today, I definitely was like, okay, I'm good. Like, I'm so good. I was like, I'm good.
Yeah, so they're comparing notes, and I think that they're encouraged to do so by the producers. And she's saying, I was into SK, but when I saw him, I thought, no, even I'm obviously in love with you, Bartise, and didn't fall in love with the others. But not only that, but in terms of looks, you're better looking, I think is what she's saying, or more attractive. So then we'll see the way he responds to that. And now I will say that they're drunker than I remember them being. I don't know how drunk they are, but they have a lot of signs of moderate intoxication at this point.
That's the opposite of what I experienced. I'd love to see everybody for the first time. Raven's like the typical girl that I would go after in the real world. Like Raven's, she came down, she wearing the tight clothes. I was like, okay, she's a fucking smoke show. She's hot as shit. I was like, okay. We're both like the person that people come to, and we both draw attention.
Yeah, it's as bad as I remember it being. There's so many other ways to say this. One, he could not say it. Two, he could be like, objectively, I didn't know Raven was a smoke show, but you're more beautiful than she is. I'm glad I'm with you, or I don't know, something. But not only that, but pick up on the verbal cues, my friend. Look at her face. He just keeps going and going. And the way he frames it it's not just that he thinks that she's a smoke show. Do people use that phrase, or is that a Bartise thing? But not only does he think that she's attractive, Raven, but he's elevating himself in this conversation. He's like, Raven and I, we're the sort of people, when we enter a room, everyone looks at us. Now, I mean, maybe that's objectively true. I don't know. I could see where both of them have enough data to say that. Maybe they enter a lot of rooms. A lot of people look their way. A lot of people say, you're the best looking person in this room. Who knows what super good looking people get told on a daily basis. I don't know. But, you would just think you would say something different in this moment when you're talking to supposedly a person that you love.
They see Raven, they see me, they say, okay, that's the person I want to go talk to because they look good. Me and Raven connected in pause because we were so simple.
Yeah, and I said this back then. By extension, you are explicitly saying that Nancy is not one of those people. You're saying, me and Raven, we're in a different class from everyone else, including you, by the way. That's pretty clueless. He regrets it in the post interviews. He says that he cringes when he watches it, but his response didn't seem to indicate he understood why he would do this in the first place. He just sort of it's hard to know if he regretted it because it makes him look bad, or he regrets it because he understands what mistakes are present in his personality that would result in him not being considerate of her feelings and also being pompous.
I literally cried because of you and Raven.
I didn't know that.
Damn, Nancy and Raven. I was like, fuck. I'm literally having feelings for multiple women right now.
Okay, so my big conspiracy is furthered by what's happening right here. I would suspect that he's being honest right now. There's nothing wrong with what he's saying, by the way. I mean, there's a certain inconsideration to it, but there's nothing wrong with anyone post-pods to say, wow, I think I might have made a mistake, or maybe I shouldn't be with this person, or maybe I should be with someone. Maybe I should have proposed to that other person. Totally normal. Happens all the time. You don't have to be inconsiderate of people's feelings while you're communicating that, but that what's generating this revelation, there's nothing wrong with it. And so I suspect he's being 100% honest in this moment because he doesn't have any reason to make this up. He has a lot of reasons not to say this, so I think this is actually the truth. And then I think he woke up the next day and remembered what he said and was mortified and decided to clamp down on his disclosures, maybe even his drinking. I think ongoing, he was still struggling with this. Because you just heard what we said, like right now, I'm having feelings for multiple women at this point. Again, no harm, no foul there. I think a lot of people would say that he's not following the experiment, but who cares about the experiment? You know, people's hearts are people's hearts. Yeah, I think this is real for him. At the very least, I think he is not feeling the vibe for Nancy early. He claims, I mean, he said in the interview that pretty quickly after the pods, it dropped off. But he claims that he didn't make a decision until the day at the altar, which I don't think is likely.
Nancy and Raven, I was like, fuck. I'm literally having feelings for multiple women right now. But you were up here, right? So I was like, damn, I have to trust my gut. And then here we are now.
It was bad the first time. It's bad the second time. He thinks he's giving her this wonderful gift, and he turns to her and is like, and here I am with you. And then her face, and yeah. And then he slowly starts to realize that he made some sort of mistake, and then he says something like, well, I don't know. I think it's coming up.
So it was a wild night. It was a wild night for me. Are you cool with me being that honest with you?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what
Yeah. There's never been a yes that meant more like a no than she just said. Mm-hmm. It's pretty bad. And I hypothesize eventually that she has been invisibilized by her family. I don't know that, but she has some yellow flags of that. And when you're in that state, and some people have emailed and commented that they like that word, invisibilized, and they'll talk about how they will not even really register what's happening in the moment because they put themselves on the back burner, that they don't even recognize themselves. And so they just kind of enter a zone where they're just responding. And then the next day they'll wake up and they'll reflect on the conversation and be like, what the F just happened? So I don't know what's happening in her mind right now, but it could be because she seems blank in this moment.
So it was a wild night. It was a wild night for me. Are you cool with me being that honest with you?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what you wanted.
Like, what the fuck?
So presumably a while later, that's when you react, but why not in the moment, right? Why not right then and there go like, what the fuck? What are you saying? Are you thinking you're giving me some sort of gift? You think you're giving me a gift? You think this is supposed to uplift me, what you're saying?
If you want a tall, blonde fitness girl, go to a body competition. Find her there. Don't go on an experiment that is going to potentially line you up with someone who's the complete opposite of what you like.
It's not my, I was just, fuck it. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, F it. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. It's such a... I mean, he just completely flubs it and then has no recovery. There's so many other ways he could recover. So he could say like, oh, well, okay, I'm sorry for saying all those things. There's just a lot of ways to even recover from that, well, you couldn't really recover completely, but I think his naivete or lack of awareness or something is shown even in his response. He's just like, anyway, F it, whatever. Because I don't even think he knows what happened. I think he was just spouting, and then he looks over at her. He's like, and here I am with you. Isn't that great? And then she gives him this real blank, hostile, upset vibe. And he's like, what happened? Well, anyway, let's move on. God, it's like, yeah.
Talking to Raven, it was good. And seeing her in the flesh, it makes sense. Like, gorgeous girl. I told her this. I was like, listen, like, on paper, me and you make sense. You're fucking gorgeous. You're fit. Like, we look good to the naked eye.
So he's sober-ish, at least, in this, more sober in this conversation, and he's, I think he thinks he's handling this one better, but I don't think he is. Basically, he's calling Nancy not fit. Yeah, it's, ugh.
If you were to look at Raven, look at me, and we're at a bar, we're at a restaurant, that would make sense. But if you compare that to me and your relationship, our connection was emotional. Our connection was energetic. Our connection.
Yeah, there's just so many other ways to view this and phrase it. It comes across like he says, I am superior. Me and Raven, we are superior to you and everyone else. But because I fell in love with you before I saw you, my relationship with you is this other thing. You know, I'm interpreting it, I'm extending it, of course, but you could imagine Nancy interpreting it that way, or viewers seeing it that way.
It was fun. It was easy. We're making connections based on what we're saying, not based on who we are physically.
Now, I will say that there is research along these lines that demonstrates that on average, of course, it's just average, that people tend to gravitate towards people who are seen as being as attractive as they are, as they see themselves. For example, they'll take different couples and they'll take pictures individually of each person, and they'll have independent people, just regular participants, rate all the people individually, you know, on a scale from 1 to 10 in terms of attractiveness, that kind of thing. And then they will find that people of similar ratings will actually be together, because the researchers know who among these different individuals are actually together in a relationship. There is that. I don't know. Of course, there's a lot of different ways that Bartise could be handling this right now. But for him, he might say, look, I'm here and Raven's here and Nancy is here. And so what is that? You know, why is it that when we study human beings, on average, of course, it's not everyone, that people tend to get it? And how do we calculate that exactly? Because presumably a lot of people are attracted to very attractive people, right? But how do we know where we are on that scale such that we will tend to, on average, pursue people that are at our level, and whatever that is, right? How do we know where we fit in, and how do we know where someone else fits in? Because not only do we internally kind of rate someone or gauge someone's attractiveness to us, but we also, I think, are gauging attractiveness to society. Now, the more narcissistic you are, the more other people-minded you are, the more you're concerned about how other people will see your partner. But I think that it's probably something that is instinctual on some level that we do. And of course, what is attractive is highly cultural dependent. You look around different cultures, you look in different times, even in Western culture, there have been different things that were deemed to be attractive and different, you know, for people of all genders. Attraction was socially constructed, and today we are embedded, wherever you are in culture, in a particular mindset. You've been indoctrinated into a mindset about what is attractive. Now, some people will balk at that and say, like, I've never really agreed with what everyone else considers attractive, and you know, it's fine. But we're influenced by it. A lot of people are influenced by it. So it's not an objective number that so and so is this attractive. It's dependent on culture and indoctrination and social location and race and oppression and da-da-da. It's just an interesting question to think about, and it could be at play here with Bartise. And Nancy actually could be overly, who knows, but Nancy could be overly attracted to him because she perceives him as being a higher rating than she is. I don't want to say rating, of course, because, that's pretty reductive, but it does happen. People will tend to forgive people that they perceive as a better catch than they are. Not always, of course. And of course, that's not healthy. You shouldn't be forgiving someone more so just because you think they have, a better dating ability than you do. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.